All right, it's 12:15, so let's get started. Thank you for all the familiar faces and some new ones that are out there for joining us. You'll notice there's a quick poll. If you guys can help submit that poll, it'll help us better understand the audience today. And excited to have an open mic with you guys on embracing AI. So this is for you guys as well. So please, if there's any questions or feedback or experiences you want to share, that's really what it's about, community and giving back. My name is Chris Cognetta. I'm the CTIO here at congruentX, and been really working with AI for a few years now on how we can use AI to help our daily businesses. And we get a lot of questions on, how do I use it? How do I embrace it? So that's what this webinar and really open mic is about. So let's talk about it. So we mentioned talking about AI, and we're going to share some stats from Microsoft Ignite and some Copilot numbers. These are real world stats that we're starting to see from these deployments out in the field, as well as some congruentX numbers and what we've seen in adoption. And I have a demo there set up for demo, but I'm actually going to do some slides. And then also, how do I get started? For bonus points, if you know what the magazine issue is from what movie, either post it in the window or say it out loud. The first person that does will receive a free copy of the Dialogue Prime Relationships. And it looks like we got a winner. There we go. Randall Marshall. Another blast from the past. Thanks for joining us.
Absolutely.
So, we hear about AI and everyone is saying, well, is it a myth? Is it a fad? Is it going to go away? Here's my viewpoint. I think that generational AI has become, or generative AI, I should say, has become mainstream. And the reason why it's become mainstream is if you look around in the mall or you're talking to your friends, just about your kids, there's so many ways that people are using AI today, and some of them aren't even aware. Like the new Samsung S24 has all kinds of AI capabilities in the phone, where my wife's Spanish mother called, and it's translating her language from Spanish to me in English real time. So I'll tell you that it's not a fad. It is reality. And we're seeing it used in businesses, from everything from people using ChatGPT to summary to conversational intelligence and a lot more. It's going to continue to get more and more embraced. And you may have seen the word Copilot everywhere. And, Microsoft Copilots are the biggest way that you're going to see them impact your business today. And if you didn't know, Office is one of the largest productivity suites in the world. It's like 96 or 97% utilization across the stack. Whether you have Salesforce or other tools, most people are still using Office. So pretty interesting numbers there. But it really comes down to is, responsibility with AI. And if you're likely having this conversation with your IT staff today, they're focused on, protecting you, protecting your data, and what that is. And Microsoft and really all people who are talking about AI have a term called AI responsibility. And that's not only the data protections and what your data is used for, but it's also in how you set up those protections for your corporate data. So when you look at data protections, one of the things that is different. So if you're using ChatGPT today and you go out to ChatGPT and you just start typing in something about your business and want back an answer, that information can be changed, can be used and leveraged in a future model to help train the model. However, if you're using ones like Azure OpenAI or the paid version of ChatGPT, you will see a notice across the bottom saying that your data is secure and that your information is not going to be used. So I don't think you want your client secrets or your business IP out in public domain and people knowing your secret sauce when they ask a question of AI. So this is a big reason why people are concerned. And it's also a reason what's stopping people from moving forward, as IT departments have to catch up and understand these data protections and what's there. Hopefully by having these conversations and doing the webinars and talking to the community, people will understand that your data absolutely can remain safe. It can remain within your tenant, and it can be protected when those calls are made out to these AI services. And it's not a reason to stop you from using these tools and working through it. Another thing when it comes around the myth and fad with AI is, what is the benefit? And we hope to show you some instant ROI capabilities in that. But hopefully this is making a lot of sense to you guys in regards to, how you can embrace AI and what are some of the challenges today. But we'll keep talking through the slides here. So here's some numbers from Microsoft Ignite. And this is based on using Microsoft Sales Copilot and also some numbers within their customer service department. So 79% of their team have reduced their workload by some amount. So that's almost 80% of their organization, 100,000 employees. You can do the math. 68% said it helped update their CRM with less effort. So not having to switch multiple windows, the ease and ability to find accounts, see opportunity information, summaries, all those kind of things has helped the sales team and other teams by 68%. Another interesting one. You ever hear your team say, I don't have the time to spend with that client? 67% more time with customers. I know Patrick DeLillo's on the phone, and Patrick uses our summary capabilities. And I think, Patrick, you could attest to that, right?
Absolutely. Saves me a ton of time in terms of just making sure we capture everything from a client call, and makes it really simple to just send that summary out, and everyone's on the same page.
Yeah, thank you, Pat. And this is real-time, real-world statistics that are being shared, right? This is not something that's made up in a lab or something that hasn't been deployed. This other number here, 64% better able to personalize customer engagement or experience. How are they doing that? They're using AI to go out and look at LinkedIn, your social posts, news about your company. So did you ever get that email that says, oh, hey, Bob, thanks a lot for that, or congratulations on winning this award? It seems to know about you, right? Well, that personalized attempt and that communication to add that information in there can help better increase your sales probability. 64% are able to do that. Here's some other big numbers, especially when you're thinking about, we have a mix between sales, customer service, but I want you to think about AI across your entire business. It doesn't have to just be sales or customer service. We're using it in delivery. We're using it in customer service. We're using it in projects and PSA capabilities. There's so many things that can come up from that. A good example is the Microsoft numbers in a 12% reduction in case handling time and a 10% faster resolution time in boosting the ability of the actual rep to solve the case. So I know we got one of our customer service managers on the phone, and Rod can get information from the AI suggesting, based on data that's in the system, what's the best answer for a customer. So no more having to organize and have somebody going through your knowledge base and saying, oh, this article applies to these 5 things. AI is doing that automatically. Again, another time savings for you and your team. The one that stuck out to the most for me was this quote from a Microsoft VP, which will remain anonymous. But basically it said 71% of people who use Copilot today will not work without it. So once you deploy it and give it to them, if you were to take it away, they would be upset. That's a very big number. And for those of you who are wondering, why AI now? What changed that made AI so important right now? Does anybody know what was the big founding factor that made AI so mainstream? How it became? Anyone want to take a guess?
Accessibility.
Accessibility to?
accessibility to technology is much easier to use now than before.
Right. And accessibility in using and incorporating those things is certainly one aspect, but there's this little technology that people don't know about. It's called the internet. And the internet and all the web pages and web servers that are hosting all of this content of data is now available to crawl like a Google can be used to build these large language models that make AI possible. Could you imagine trying to gather all that information 20 years ago? What would you do? You'd be sitting in a library with a scanner trying to scan each page to make that content digital, right? But now we live in a digital world, and the content that's being created faster than ever before is now accessible as well. So because of the internet and the ability to create these large language models is why it's such pronounced fact that we can use it. And the other thing is the ability to spread the processing power needed to do this across these clouds. So Azure's capability and their cloud stack enable to do that. An interesting fact, one of these summary capabilities to run a summary on a phone call takes almost as much power as it does to run a light bulb for an hour. Just some boggling numbers that can keep coming out. So I hope you found those numbers interesting in supporting our case of why to embrace AI now. You know, if you're not using AI, I guarantee you that your competitor business is either in a proof of concept or trying to figure out how they can use this to get ahead. And they're going to succeed by trying through these models. And these models take a lot of trying, a lot of learning, a lot of different pieces to work through them to make them happen. But once you start to nail down a model and what's working for you, the benefits are amazing. You know, some other numbers we talked about, you know, obviously that they were more productive, but 29% faster at specific tasks. How many people have those people that are working for you that don't know how to type, right? That are still struggling to type fast on the keyboard or are tired of every time somebody calls them, you gotta type in their name, find their record. What if that was all gone and simply by putting an email address or acknowledging that email address exists in your database, the account or all the information is pulled up automatically? Wouldn't that save you some time? How many people use the feature on your cell phone today where you say, hey, I'm going to Home Depot and remind me I need a 2x4. And then the next time you're walking through a Home Depot, your reminder goes off and says, hey, you need to pick up a 2x4. Why can't we have that capability in business? Why can't it know that I'm on-site sales and I'm in an area walking around and my customer's got a location right here? Wouldn't you want your sales team to be able to know that and be able to instantly react on that type of data? Again, more examples of how this stuff is real and it's being deployed today. Some instant ROI facts that I want to share with you. If you're struggling to sell this to your company, what's the expense? These licenses cost dollars. How can I do it faster? Well, the first one we have is a savings of 5 to 7 hours per team member a week, just by using the Copilot extensions. And I know we got Mitch Kennedy, one of our sales leaders, on here, and Mitch is using these tools on a daily basis. Mitch, would you agree that you could save 5 to 7 hours a week based on what Copilot's doing for you?
Without a doubt. It really has energized my sales team and been able to kind of give them a boost of energy to get this stuff done quicker and more efficiently.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. So again, real world scenario, people using it in the teams, and it's not just the sales team, as I mentioned. It has started in that arena as they're trying to use that. And there's some people that are implementing it wrong too. Who's been bombarded by all the AI-based emails that are really not relevant or didn't do their homework, but you can tell that a person didn't write it, right? You got that same phishing email. But again, another interesting point that we've seen is that just by using the AI and being able to capture things from the call, like notes and pain points and different things in the sales process, next steps, it's shown the effect to follow up with a customer right after that call within an hour or so, 67% increase in the win probability. Why? Because number one, the customer thinks, wow, I'm really important to this company. They were able to produce and follow up with me of all of the details right away. Typically, a salesperson may be going from call to call to call, and they don't have the time to follow up till the evening, or it's the second shift, as we like to call it, right? What if that could happen almost instantly after your phone call? Would that be helpful? And it goes way beyond selling and sales. What if you were dealing with projects and you had project calls and you wanted to pull out milestones and deliveries and task information and then use that to help guide your team? Another great example is handoffs. If you sell something, someone's usually having to implement it or build it. You know, if you were buying a home and you were on the phone with the salesperson, or you're in the sales center, and that whole conversation about, oh yeah, I want the woodwork trim and I want this staircase. You remember that conversation? What if that conversation could automatically be obtained and then put into this breakout that then fed into the builder, so the builder knew, here's everything they asked for. How much time and savings would that business get by implementing that type of technology? And it goes on and on and on. So, but from an instant ROI perspective, these are some of the lessons that we're learning and what we're seeing. Also, the increased adoption of this platform. People using these tools like Pat, who's on the call and seeing summaries and forwarding summaries to show other people of what's going on. These are all very strong points to use AI. So why don't salespeople like CRM, right? And they don't like it because of all of these things that we're making them do. They think, well, Big Brother's watching me. I don't want to enter the data. No value in entering in this data. And maybe they still use a black book and write it down on a piece of paper. Or my favorite one is they just don't like using the UI. It's all over the place. They need it to be cleaner. But really, the business is trying to run their business. They need to know that this customer interaction, the last time I spoke to them, it's in the system, because when they call again, we want to give a great experience and say, oh, I see you called 2 hours ago and here's the answer. Well, if that information's not in the system, they don't know. All ways and things that we can do with AI to help people update these accounts and information. Again, we're using a sales capability here, but it can fall into any different category that you think. I haven't had a conversation yet with a person who started talking about these things that couldn't say, man, I could really use this for my business. How about a show of hands if you guys are saying that right now? Do you think you could use this for your business? So what's stopping you guys, right? So let's talk about some of the art of the possible to do some of this today, So, and I mentioned about, walking in Home Depot, but why can't your CRM or your other platform work like Alexa or Siri? We got the tech, and the AI capabilities that we're talking about are what's doing some of this stuff. So why can't we use it in our businesses? And, Microsoft Copilot for Sales is exactly what it is. It helps you bring this capability right into your Outlook. And I just wanted to take some screenshots. I'm not trying to do a product demo or anything like that. But again, I wanted to show you how you can embrace AI today, right? So here's an add-on right here. And you can see that there was an email from Robin and some details from Robin on this thread. Well, have you ever gotten that email thread? And I know Terry has. Terry's on the call. I know Terry's gotten that email where it says, hey, I'm the 20th person on this email thread and it's been escalated to me. Anybody get that call like that? Well, look at this. I can see an entire summary of everything that's happened about the client in that email thread without reading the entire thread. Think about that on a case or a support issue. How many times have you had to call customer service and explain your story again? All ended with AI. How do you think that customer experience is going to be when Rod or one of the teams can answer that and they already know what steps you've already taken? Won't they be more efficient, more pleasing to the customer? And isn't that a competitive advantage for you? Some other ways it can do is adding emails to both CRM, both Dynamics or Salesforce, and in the future, some others, right? Capabilities to connect others, as well as the ability to look through other meetings that you may have had in the past with the same client, as well as integrate with your teams and your CRM. So when you're seeing information, you're able to connect to all the different channels and have it at your fingertips. I'm not even opening up CRM and I'm seeing the data. I'm able to see opportunity information about, hey, I should be talking about this or where I'm at with them. Also, the ability that when I type in someone's name in the email, I no longer am going to a CRM to search. It automatically can find that person in the system and know that they're a customer or a client automatically. That's pretty powerful, right? Not having to go say, hey, is it in there or not? And again, think about a person who's in email, then has to go out to their CRM or maybe another browser. How much time does it take if you're doing that 200 times a day, back and forth? How much does that time add up? It's all gone if you just type in a number here and know. And then we're doing some custom add-ons as well to Dialog Prime Copilot with the ability to say, hey, you're on a sales team and what's this call about? Is this a first call? Is this a second call? Is this the discovery call? What's it for in the sales process? And then the ability to take that context of that call and run a specific playbook. So if you're in sales today and you're on the first call with a person, there's about 5 things you need to do, right? You're going to introduce yourself. You're going to talk about who your company is. Then you're going to listen to them about what's their challenges, what's their pain points that they're having, right? What's the issue they want to achieve and what outcome they want. Then you're going to ask, do they got timeline and budget to do that? Are they talking about now? Do they need it next week or is this for next year? And then finally, what are the next steps? Seems like a very easy process to follow. You wouldn't believe how many people don't follow. But by using these playbooks, I can then use AI against these calls and say, hey, Scott, you can get better by doing X. Scott's laughing because he's on the phone, so I called him out a little bit there. Sorry, Scott. But, you know, again, just another example of how we're using these capabilities at congruentX. And again, I mentioned the integration. We use Teams. We talk a lot with Teams internal in our businesses today. A great way to share information. I can use Copilot to now find those records and accounts and automatically send that card to Robin just by clicking on typing in Toastmasters, and it'll send her a link and information to take action. And these cards are customizable as well. And I know we're about 12:38. We got about 15 more minutes, or 15 minutes. Is that right, Tasha? Or maybe 10 more minutes?
A little bit less than 10.
A little bit less than 10. Okay. Mm-hmm. So again, we talked about conversations, and conversations in AI is something that we've been really digging in with at congruentX. And we see that there's so much intelligence that you can unlock from those phone calls. And it starts with using Copilot for Teams and sales capabilities that are here that you get with the Microsoft Copilot for Sales. But you can take this and explode it. But what about knowing if someone's talking negative to your customers or using bad language? Or what if they're talking about your competitors? Or a customer is saying, hey, this competitor has this price at X, could you match? You instantaneously could pick up those items and use and see them. And again, I mentioned some of the results so far earlier, but really this integration and outlook inside of Teams, I really want to bring that into CRM. And that's, again, more of the art of the possible, using Azure cognitive services, Azure OpenAI services as well. We use this new product called Dialogue Prime, and it allows us to bring that information into your CRM. And we got dashboards that show you your calls. You know how many people have CRM systems today that can't tell how many calls they've made by salesperson? We can tell you calls. We can tell you what their score was on the call, what it was about. Okay. Also, if you're in traditional CRM and you want to see all your calls you made for the day, you don't remember what account you called last or 2 hours ago. How can I see all my calls and quickly and easily get to them and get details? So we've got the ability to do that, as well as the ability to see your deals. A very quick at a glance, where I'm at with my deals for the week, how many have I won, how many I lost, and then insights into communication, again, using AI for both predictive lead scoring, opportunity scoring, meeting information, everything to bring that information to you. The middle box here shows you actual interactions with the customer and being able to see, are they ghosting me? Have they responded? Again, a lot of this information is in your data, but you can't see it. And by using AI against these data sets, you can bring that information out and show you how to use it. Some gamification that we have as well. This is a really cool one. If you don't, the person who won, who put up their name for the word stripes for the movie, they'll be getting a copy of this Serious Relationships book. It's available on Amazon. JC Quintana, good friend of ours, wrote the book, but we took the book and we basically made it a part of our AI. So why? Because relationships are really important to you and the customer, whether you're sales, whether you're in customer service. So now I can use these relationships to help me understand the 7 elements of a relationship. And the book explains what those 7 elements are, but the system helps mentor me in how to get better at my score and shows me what areas I need to focus on to get better. So again, another way of self-mentoring, and better relationships equal better sales, better customer experience, right? All good points. A little bit more about call details, and then, just some summary capabilities that are powered by AI, the ability to get a summary about what the entire call was about and what pain points are on. And this is tunable by what type of business you're in. Maybe you're in a mortgage broker and you need mortgage specific information that you want to see. Maybe it's a realtor and you want to see, they want this specific location, they're looking for 4 bedrooms. You can pull all of these things out of that conversation. We're seeing it in the medical field. We're seeing it in transportation. It's just everywhere. And then natively being able to take that conversation and then ask it a question. How would you like to ask your system a question about, is the customer engaged in this deal? Or a question, these are all tunable based on what question you'd like to ask it. And I can see right back here when I submit that, it'll review it and says, yeah, this customer is engaged. They ask good questions. They followed up on next steps. They also want excitement about doing that. So it's a pretty good, so I can take that information and feed it into my AI model now to say the probability of winning this deal is high. So just more examples of the summary that you get and some of the impact and even the mentoring stuff. Additional insights that you can see. And again, here's just some of the things it does as we're wrapping up here. I know we only got about a minute left and I wanted to give you guys some time, but hopefully this shows you how you can embrace AI in your business today. Some real world examples of what we're doing at CongruentX and how CongruentX and you can work together. And I have Abba on the phone. Why don't you come off mute? Can you?
Yeah, hi, Chris.
Hi.
So thank you for this presentation. This was really nice. So I have been on the provider side of IT for almost 17 years, and last year I was on the consumer side of IT. I have a question here. So when I was working on the consumer side of IT, where I was in in-house IT, it was an organization which was growing and it had growing pains. And as you mentioned in one of your slides, we had data spread across the organization. Data still lies. I'm not with that organization anymore, but I've seen that pain up close and personal, like in person. Um, all the data, the important, like the gold mine would lie on people's laptop,
Hmm.
right? On
Hmm.
their personal drive.
Right.
And we were using Dynamics CRM and Dynamics FNO. And I mean, the life of salespeople or the life of operations people would have been made easier had we captured that data in a centralized location, either somewhere on SharePoint or Dynamics CRM or FNO. How do you, like, what do you see happening for those organizations which are growing and still not have figured out to have a centralized database where you can apply all these large language models and come up with an optimized and efficient way of um, getting their contracts out, or
Hmm.
being very efficient in what AI helps you to do?
That's an awesome question, and love to talk to you about it. So what I'm going to say is that all businesses have these problems. They have data across different systems, different drives, different platforms, even different clouds, right?
Correct.
How do I get that data? How do I bring it together? And really, the start of that is Microsoft Fabric. And what Fabric
Mm.
does is it helps bring those data sources together using both AI and Power BI stack, so that you'll be able to unlock information in your data just by asking a question like, who's my top 10 customers? Or who's spending all the money on X? You'll be able to do that through the use of the Power Platform connectors that can connect to all of those different disparate data sources and give you that feel that it's all connected together. And there's also policies and places that you can put that also help enforce that. So like locking down laptops so that local storage is not allowed and things have to be in OneDrive, and that their folders are redirected to cloud saving areas instead of on their machines. And again, these capabilities can search through documents. A good example of this is a Bing Enterprise Search. And I know everyone's like, oh my God, he's talking about Bing. No, I'm not a Microsoft softie that I'm only stuck on Microsoft. I'm a tech evangelist, but Bing has an enterprise search that we're actually using at congruentX, that it connects the Bing search engine to your search stack and can look at any index data source. So if it's a SharePoint or a table or a CRM system or even an ERP system, as long as they are in that index that you define, it can now use search capabilities to crawl that and make that information appear like it's all in one system to get further insights and take further actions. And these are just the forefronts of some of where this technology is being used. You're going to see making it even easier to help solve those problems because frankly, we all have them. So great question, and thank you for coming today and adding some input into the session. Does anybody else have any other questions or feedback or experiences they'd like to share with the team?
I use ChatGPT a lot for personal and professional reasons. I've used it to help me create data, manipulate data, summarize data. It's even helped me generate code that I've used to solve different challenges.
Code, that's another big one, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Code's another big one. Microsoft implemented Copilot, and GitHub was the first place that these technologies were used. In 1 month, 40% of all code that was written and checked into GitHub was done by AI. Shocking, right? That information was openly shared. And to your point, it's like, hey, I need a snippet that's going to do X, and it will search all of GitHub for the open source code that somebody's already written that does the same thing, and then generate that code for you based on that. And the reuse of code makes code better. So the more that you use it and the more people that are sharing and contributing to it, the better it gets. So I'm sure that number is probably in the 50s or 60s now because of the rate of adoption. And you'll hear it from me first that this is the fastest technology adoption that we've ever seen in the world. Faster than computers themselves, faster than it took for people to get on the internet and use cell phones. This happened almost in weeks and months versus years and centuries, right? Or decades, I should say. But it was that fast, and it's continuing. Eventually, I think we won't even use the word AI anymore. We won't see these specific products that say, oh, this is my co-pilot. It'll just be Outlook and it'll have the information. It'll just be your ERP. We will come to expect it to do that by default. It won't be a special place. So my ask is you guys go out there and change the world, right? Let's use AI to do these things. Let's start small. We can start, to Chris's point, on doing it with his Word docs and how he's using it at work. Start there. Start showing it. Start talking about it, right? Because if you don't, your competitors are going to. And I got news for you. This is not a fad. This is real. And I hope the examples today showed you how we can embrace AI together. So thanks for coming, everybody, today. Appreciate your time. As always, we're open for additional conversations. I'm happy to hang out and wait for everybody. But thank you, everybody. I really appreciate you coming out. And please like and share. We'll get this posted back out for you. You'll get a video link that if you want to share with your colleagues, or maybe you want congruentX to come out and talk about AI with your team. We're happy to do that as well. So, and thanks for the familiar faces that came out today. Appreciate the support.
Great job, Chris.
Thanks, Chris. Great job.
Thanks, everybody.
Awesome job, Chris.
Good job, Chris. Thanks. See you later.
Thanks for sharing, Chris. It was almost like Alcoholic Anonymous for AI.
See you later. Bye.